Oh, hey, Jason, how you doing?
Very good. How are you doing?
Pretty good. I was just heading up to a house where I can have some peace and quiet here. So let me, yes, here I am.
All right.
In Ohio, actually, at the moment.
Yeah. What time is it there? It's not California time there.
Well, let's see. It's 5 o'clock in the afternoon here.
6 o'clock here.
I guess that'd make it 2 o'clock where I'm from, which is Las Vegas, Nevada.
So what is your trip in Ohio for? Music or photography?
No, this is a music project. I'm pretty much retiring from photography after doing it 17 years, and I just really got back into music about a year and a half ago, and I now find myself wondering, why didn't I get back into this sooner? Because I'm having so much fun with it, but really the big thing that made it an easy transition for me to all of a sudden quit something I've done for so long and go back to something I hadn't done in a very long time was the fact that me and Kelly Rhoads had decided to work together. Someone invited me and him to do a show in Akron, Ohio. Right now I'm just outside of Columbus in a little town called Grove City. And so they invited us back to do just this one-off show as a thank you to the troops, and we did it, and we had so much fun that we said, let's team up and do this all the time. And
right.
So here we are. So he's not here right now. He couldn't make it, and I leave tomorrow morning, and then I'm back in Nevada for 2 days. And then I'm probably going to come back here again on Sunday and probably stay just a couple days to finish up the recording that we're doing here. But we're recording an album back here. And then I'll probably have to come back again with Kelly when he comes in and does his stuff.
What's the band called?
So it's well, right now, I wish I could give you a name, but we're all sitting around here arguing about it. We have about 4 names in the pot, and we're trying to figure out, well, which one's going to be the best one. This band here was thrown together basically by our manager, Frank Powers, who takes care of me and Kelly Rhoads. And he has done, he's managed Pete Way, Wasted, Pete Way's Wasted, and done a lot of work with Michael Schenker, and he had pretty good credentials. He's a heck of a nice guy, and so he said, well, what we'll do is we'll get you and Kelly, and then we'll bring in this guy, we'll bring in that guy, and this guy. So what we have right now, we have, it's me and Kelly Rhoads, and we have Finn Muir, who is sang with Pete Way's Wasted.
Okay.
The drummer, Scott Phillips, was also in Pete Way's Wasted. And then the guitar player, Wayne Finley, is still and has been for 11 years in Michael Schenker's group.
Wow, it's a good lineup.
Yeah, none of us had ever met until last week, because I've been here for 8 days, and none of us had ever met. A couple of us had talked on the phone a few times. Finn, the singer, he came all the way from Scotland, and so Wayne came from San Diego. The drummer lives in the Columbus area. And so, and then here I am from Nevada. So it was, it was all of a sudden we all had to meet, and the place for recording is really, really cool. The city here, Grove City, is a beautiful little historic town, and the recording studio that we're playing in, it's called Sonic Lounge. The guy's got just the best setup. He gave me the best sound I ever had in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And the studio is just top shelf. And he owns basically the whole city block. And so located in this block there's a house for us to all live in that was built in the 1900s. And so we all stay in here, and then we just walk across a little parking lot, and we have a rehearsal studio there fully stocked. And then we go right next door to that, and there's the recording studio. So everything's right here. And
in Ohio.
It's been it's been really a lot of fun. This is such an easy way to do it, and the sound that this guy gets out of the studio is just amazing, absolutely amazing.
So it's a better idea to go in Ohio instead of California to record this stuff?
Oh, yes, absolutely. In fact, I already told Kelly, because we're involved in several other projects as well, and I said, I'm not recording anywhere except here,
Wow.
with all these other things. And he goes, well, if you say it's that great, then he goes, that's fine with me. So Kelly and I get along really, really good. We've been friends for getting on just about 40 years here.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always been close with the Rhoads family, and we all, that was where I grew up. Was basically me and Randy at Musonia, and Kelly was always around too. So he's basically a lifelong friend. So it was very natural for us to come together and play together again. And he does sort of he's mostly a classical pianist and composer.
Yeah.
And what we've done is we've written some music that he can play that kind of stuff with, but still the music rocks. I mean, it's very, very, very heavy metal, very melodic, just really, really kind of a different sound. And everybody comes from somewhat diverse backgrounds, that it's been actually a very, very, very good mix. You have a whole lot of different styles involved in this project, and it's working. It's clicking. We all, just love each other. We have fun together, and this whole experience back here has just been magical for me.
Is Kelly Rhoads gonna be singing or just playing piano?
If he does, well, he would sing backup, all the time. But we have one song that we always do together, and that would be "Back to the Coast."
Right.
That would be the only one that he would actually sing lead on.
Okay.
But other than that, yeah, he'll just be doing keyboards and some backup vocals.
Okay. Who's the front singer? Basically, the guy from Phil Mirror.
He
you said.
Wasted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's gonna
Finn Mir.
It'd be great to see Kelly Rhoads sing like he did in the Rhoads album. You remember that in the 80s?
Yeah. That was a fun album to do too. There was some good people involved with that, and so really we've definitely worked together before because I did all the bass on that album. But it was just he at that time had asked me to come in and do it, and I said sure, I'll do it. And then I guess I don't know what he did for a bass player after I was gone, but it was just sort of a one-time thing for me to come in and do that album. And so this project here is very ambitious that we're doing. It's just really, really, really unique, the music, and add that to the sound that the studio gets is just amazing.
And also, are we going to see some dates going with this new album?
Oh, definitely, yeah, definitely, yeah. We're going to be touring quite a bit, and my goal throughout this whole thing has been to get us over to Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. Originally, it was going to be Iraq, but we've changed our plans and decided to go to Afghanistan, and we would be there for a month entertaining the troops. And it doesn't pay very well money-wise, but the just the faces of the soldiers over there, mm-hmm. Getting some entertainment, and having somebody talk to them, and just that somebody that would actually go all the way over there just to play them some songs, that's the really gratifying part of that. And that's the main reason we're doing it. And secondary to that, I plan on filming a documentary of the whole experience.
Okay.
And basically, it's going to be about how music helps the troops get through the war. They don't have much over there, and it's not as free of a war as Vietnam was. In other words, they can't have graffiti all over their helmets or their tanks and stuff like that. I don't even know if they're really even allowed to have so much as a picture of their girlfriend in a bikini or something.
Wow.
So really all they have is the music. And I've interviewed about 100 veterans of Iraq and Afghanistan, and they all told me the same thing. They all said, if I didn't have the music over there, I never would have made it. And everyone to a man said that. And I thought that was really amazing. So I said, well, now there's a story. So I'm going to film it, it'll be very, well, kind of off-the-cuff filming. It's not going to be any setups and lighting and all that. And, it's basically going to document how a band goes into a war zone, which is where we'll be, because we're going out into what they call forward outposts and playing out there, which is, like, not particularly safe areas.
Mm-hmm.
And although Bagdad isn't even safe yet, I mean, I just saw on the news today somebody blew up another car bomb and wiped out like 50 people.
Ever happen to see the movie Heavy Metal Bagdad?
Yes, I haven't seen the movie. I researched it online and saw some clips of it and stuff, and that's very interesting.
It is very good.
It's more about the Iraqi bands that are over there, which is actually some very cool music because it has the Middle Eastern influence. And then when you throw that into heavy metal style of music, it comes up with a pretty interesting sound. This is going to be, all the places that we have to go, how we get there. Sometimes it's by helicopter, sometimes it's by car, truck, or whatever. And lots of interviews with the soldiers, and all of them, saying the same thing. If I didn't have the music, I wouldn't. I know I wouldn't be able to make it out of this place.
And these people are all back in the United States that you talk to?
Yeah. Most of them have done at least 2 to 3 tours over there. Some as many as 4.
It's a great project you're doing.
Yeah. So, basically the theme of the movie is rock and roll helping win the war on terrorism is the basic theme.
Let me talk to you for a minute about your DVD you released a while back. You made 100 copies, unreleased pictures and all that stuff from your collection, and you sold to the Randy Rhoads Forum Club there. I got a copy here, the number 79, signed by Kelly Garni.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I bought one at the time, and how did that turn out?
Well, I sold every one of them. It was limited to 100, and every one of them got sold. And it was just something that kind of came about. I had a bad time. I guess pretty much the beginning of this worsening of our economy hit me kind of first, because I was doing primarily wedding photography, and all of a sudden nobody was getting married because they couldn't afford it.
Right.
They couldn't afford to go out and drop 25, 50 grand, on a big wedding and all that. So my business started suffering right away, and I got into a little bit of a rough patch, and I needed some money, and I announced online on RRTK is what it's referred to. It's a Randy site. Announced on there that I would sell. I wanted to sell my scrapbook, and everybody said, "Nope, that's wrong. It deserves to be with you, and you need to come up with something else." It was almost like they weren't going to allow me to sell it.
Right.
And so, and I run into problems like that every now and then where Kevin did as well. He had tried to sell a postcard Randy had sent him, and he got a lot of criticism for it. And people just think that there's a lot of people out there that think all of us, me, Kelly, and Kevin was accused of it, of trying to get ahead in life, or, in what we do here, by using Randy's name. And I really don't think that's the best way for people to look at it. It's not accurate, because this is our life.
Right.
I mean, we can't help where we come from. And not only that, if we do sell something, at least it's real.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a lot of controversy lately about a piece of equipment out there that allegedly belonged to Randy and was stolen off the bus after he died. And it's everybody says it should be returned to his mother, and how dare this person try to sell it, and all that kind of stuff. And that's, people like to collect things, and where are they supposed to get these things? Randy really didn't have a long enough life to generate a lot of things that people would consider collectibles. So the things that you can get are usually pretty personal things. They're not just like, oh, this car used to belong to so and so. It's things like postcards and things like that. And criticizing us for selling something like that is just it's counterproductive to collectability's sake. And if we don't sell them, then they don't have a value. In other words, in fact, this piece of equipment eventually, I guess, it sold for $9,000 on eBay, and so now you know what it's worth. It's worth $9,000. That's what it cost. But it's kind of a silly issue, but it's one that I felt I kind of needed to address, just because anytime we, like, I did a press release about me and Kelly putting together this band, and 90% of the feedback was very, very positive, but then there was still that small minority out there who said, "Oh, you guys are just trying to make it off of Randy's name," And, well, we can't help it, and we like to play music.
Right.
We can't help where we're from. And, if we went out there and did a bunch of Randy songs from Ozzy and Quiet Riot or whatever, oh, heck yeah, you got a point there. If that's what we were doing. But no, what we're doing is completely original. The one song, Back to the Coast, technically, Kelly Rhoads wrote it.
Yeah.
And me and Randy heard him playing it on piano, so we kind of ripped it off of him. And it's just a song that goes way back in our history. Even though it eventually ended up on a Quiet Riot album, and I don't think he got credit for it. I don't even think I got credit for it. But again, there was a small minority out there that said we were trying to make it off of Randy's name, which was not the case at all. We can't help it where we're from. We're from basically a musical dynasty, which would be Mrs. Rhoads and her Musonia.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we all cut our teeth on music, and she was the one that taught us and gave us musical discipline and basically made us who we are. And that's not something that we can just throw away or escape from. It's who we are. And so, it's really silly when I go on sites like Blabbermouth or something, and I see, people saying, oh, here they go again trying to make money off of Randy, and I get Randy and Kevin is what I get. He only gets beat up for his brother. I get beat up for both of them, so it's kind of unfair.
It's like that. You're part of the bands, and you shouldn't have that problem. So.
No, I shouldn't. It's my life.
Yeah.
What can I do about it? Am I supposed to change my name and go out and play? No. And it's just really, really silly. But oh well. It's one of those deals. You can't please everybody. It's just like everything else in life. And it's actually not an easy job coming from our past, because we get a lot of emails and we get a lot of phone calls, and if we do go somewhere, we get we have to meet a lot of people, which is always great.
Mm-hmm.
But it is work. I mean, even when I was full time as a photographer and busy as anything, I still found myself spending about half of my week just trying not to be in Quiet Riot.
Right.
And just all the questions and people mailing things, and it's all great. I'm not complaining about it at all. I think it's wonderful that people remember this and are still interested in it and love Randy so much. I think that's just great. It's fantastic. It amazes us, especially when we see like a real young kid and we have his mother standing there going, "I don't get it." He likes the same kind of music I used to listen to, and so it's kind of interesting. And it's great that Randy's had that kind of an impact on all players, especially young ones.
Did you happen to see the new Randy Rhoads documentary being made?
Yeah, I've been very involved with that from the very beginning. And I was in L.A., so I think maybe, that's easy to remember, because now I remember what I did. Because I go back and forth there, and I couldn't remember what time I did see what they've shot so far. But last March 19th, the next day after that show, before I left L.A. to return to Vegas, I went over to the movie studio where Peter Margolis is doing all the work on it, and he's just done an amazing job. I saw things in that movie that I couldn't believe he was able to get or get people to say. It was just amazing what he's doing with that. So, but and the quality, I mean, it's top notch. It's like a real big studio kind of a thing. It's not like some little guy working out of his garage or something. It's very, very much a film with a budget as well. I mean, it's quite a bit of money has gone into making it, and he's traveled all over the world interviewing people.
The unreleased video of Randy that's supposed to be on this film. I know you can't talk about but
I did not.
Okay.
And the reason for that is it hasn't been edited into what he had for me so far.
Okay.
He has an enormous editing job ahead of him, and so it wasn't. I mean, he asked me if I wanted to see it, and I said, I don't really need to see it. I said, I'd rather see, I want to see what people are saying. So that's what he showed us. I mean, Kelly Rhoads was sitting right there with me, and he wanted both of us there so we could get our opinions, and we were both very much in agreement that he's done just a phenomenal job on it. It's just unbelievable. People are going to be blown away by how good of a job he did on it, actually.
You got any unreleased Randy bootleg audios that no one's ever heard, or is that out of the question?
There actually is something out there. I have it, and only 3 people have it, and someone recently purchased it from a good friend of me and Randy's by the name of Kim McNair, and I had a copy of it, and then I have a very, very good friend in Japan that I trust, Yutaka, and I sent him a copy to take care of for me, because I know I can trust him implicitly. If anything ever happened to my copy or Kim's, this guy, believe me, he's probably got it in a bank somewhere.
Wow.
But basically what it is something that was taped well before Quiet Riot, and it was me and Randy. What we had done was on Friday and Saturday nights, if we weren't jamming or doing somebody's party or something, which is what we did nearly every weekend, we would go around to different places where we knew there would be other musicians playing, houses and things like that. And so we had showed up at this house where Kim was, and they took a break, so we just started jamming. Me, Randy, Kim was on drums. He's normally a bass player, but he can play drums as well. And so he was on the drums, and then there was a second guitar player in there who was much older than us, because it was recorded when we were about 13 years old.
Right.
And
who's that other guitar player?
I have no idea. I completely forgot. I guess Kim McNair could tell that one. I never, actually that's a very good question. I think I'll have to give him a call and ask him just so I know for my own knowledge. But it's really the only recording that exists of Randy playing with another guitar player.
Huh.
And the other guy was a bit older than Randy, and him and Randy sort of started dueling, if you will, on some blues, riffs, and things like that. And this older guy could not possibly even begin to keep up with him. Randy just totally toasted him. And it's actually kind of funny to hear, because you hear this guy trying to run all over Randy, and you hear Randy being very patient, and he throws in little licks here and there. And then the guy just got too overbearing, so Randy said, "Okay, that's it for you." And then he goes off and he just like does this slamming lead, and that was it for that guy. I mean, he was done.
Wow.
He knew then he couldn't keep up.
And that was Randy at 13 years old?
Yeah.
Wow.
This is, of course, well before Quiet Riot.
Was there a name for that little group, or just you guys having fun?
They had I remember now. Actually, it was Kim's band, and they were called Wink.
Wink?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's who it was. That I remember.
A stand-in appearance with Wink, Randy and Kelly Garni.
Yeah, basically that's all it was. Yeah, it was. Burbank back in that day had a really, really fertile musical scene. Actually, there was a real lot of musicians, and everybody knew each other, and everybody had their own bands and stuff like that. But nothing stopped anybody from, going in and jamming with somebody, be it at a party or somebody's house, garage, whatever. You could just jump in and play. I mean, it was common, and so it was really good training for us in that we got to play with a lot of very diverse musicians, most of whom were all older than us. There really wasn't anybody our age. Everyone was like Kelly's age, which is about 6 years older than us. That recording was just done on a little boombox.
Mm-hmm.
And it, for whatever reason, I mean, it really, really recorded it well. So I believe he is going to use that in the movie.
Okay.
Kelly Rhoads is also doing some of the music on the movie, which will be classical pieces. Yeah, Peter has unturned every stone, finding things. And sometimes locating people has been absolutely exhaustive. I know because I've had to do it for him many times. And sometimes it's hard to find somebody we knew when we were like 12.
So you said that Kid McNair sold a copy of his cassette? Yeah.
He sold it to this guy. And that guy, whom I know quite well, he is trying to figure out what to do with it. Kim basically stipulated that he didn't want it released, and that was part of the contract of the sale. And so this guy would like to release it, and he's talked to me about seeing if I can't get Kim to, bend on that part of the contract. But I think he will. And but it's just not. It's only about maybe 10 minutes long, so it's not really anything you can really, make a record out of.
Well, you can make some sort of MP3 CD and add extra rare photos or something like that, I guess.
Yeah, he could do something like that, or it could just be, like you said, a download kind of a thing. It really is quite remarkable for what it is.
Did you happen to hear Kelly Rhoads' 2007 release CD with it's called Radio Sequence, and you hear
Yeah, I've heard all his stuff. Brilliant job. He nails the classical thing down. He's got it. But then that's our training. I mean, that's where we come from.
Very great album. And did you hear where Randy Rhoads is coming in?
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of that solo from '78?
Oh, well, I thought it was amazing. I mean, I thought everything Randy ever did was amazing. Randy didn't know how to play bad.
I could tell that when I heard that song. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, from day one, the day I met him, he was great. But then when I met him, he didn't even know he had just started learning lead, like maybe 2 weeks before I picked up an instrument. And he had just started. He had all his rhythm down. And then his guitar instructor, Scott Shelley, decided, it's time to teach this kid some leads. And that's where I very conveniently came in. In that Randy needed somebody to bounce all his playing off of, and a bass player was the perfect foil for that. So he, encouraged me to play a bass, and I said, sure. And so we got me a bass. And we started playing together, and as he learned, he would teach me.
Mm-hmm.
And so we literally grew up learning together. Yeah, it was a good way for us to learn and really gel together as players.
Cool.
And even before his death, when I saw him, we had talked about playing together again someday.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that big of a secret that he was actually trying to get out of Ozzy and want to pursue some other things. And we did discuss playing together again, even though I had been out of it for a very long time. When I left Quiet Riot, the last thing I ever wanted to do again was music.
Mm-hmm.
I just Quiet Riot was a great experience in a lot of ways, but in a lot of ways it was a bad experience just because I think a lot of it I blame on our management at the time. I don't think that they let us stay true to our direction. They manipulated us to play some music that really wasn't us.
Yeah.
And so, and you know, it was just a hard life back then. It wasn't easy. We were made to rehearse just almost all the time, and whenever you weren't rehearsing, you were playing live somewhere. So it was like you never even got to really take your instrument off.
Wow.
And it was very grueling, and you didn't get any money for any of it. We made money, but they said, well, we have to pay this person, that person, and the light guy, and somebody has to go to Japan, and so we need to pay for their flights, and we never saw any money at all. And so for years, you know, we were basically left to our own devices to survive. And so in that way, a lot of the time I spent in Quiet Riot, which was 4 years, it wasn't fun.
That's not good.
And then when I left, just to show you how far away I wanted to get away from music, is 3 days after I left the band, I cut off all my hair. I enrolled in a paramedic school and graduated from that and had a job waiting for me. I went to work the day after I graduated and did it for 10 years.
And did you enjoy it?
I loved it. I pretty much figured, well, this is what I'm going to do the rest of my life. But again, after 10 years of looking at all that stuff,
Quiet Riot is still there for you.
Yeah.
You know,
it just it was time for a change, and that's how I eventually ended up as a photographer. But I still, you know, it's just like I recently drove across country, and I came across a really, really severe, horrible wreck in Missouri, and basically I was the first one there. And I had a bunch of people that had been thrown out of cars and thrown away on the other side of the freeway. That's how bad it was. And, you know, I stopped and I jumped out and I started treating people. And so once you get that in your blood, I guess it's like music. You can't really ever get it out.
You ever see the Randy Rhoads play in Ozzy Osbourne live at any concerts?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, when they came to Vegas, I believe it was the first tour, is when they came here. I went to that show, and I showed up the day before, and Randy called me, and they were at Caesar's Palace, and I went over there, and I picked him up, and then he and I went out all night the night before the show. We were up till the sun came up, and then that night I went to the show, and it was really cool to see him, you know, playing there. We had a lot of fun because I sat off just probably about 10 or 15 feet from him in the wings, and so we were making faces, and I was trying to make him laugh on stage, and you know, just basically being the kids that we were, and but yeah, no, he put on a hell of a show. I mean, he was just fantastic.
How loud was it?
Loud, especially up there.
He was a loud player, huh?
Yeah, no, he loved to play loud, as do I. I mean, I really love playing loud. And in fact, I've gotten some endorsements for some pretty powerful equipment. And so when I flew out here to Ohio, ironically, I was sitting next to an ear doctor, and I told him what I did. And he said, how old are you? And I said, well, I'm 50. And he says, you better get some ear protection. And he said, right now is a very crucial time for your hearing to deteriorate. So that I plan on doing as soon as I get back to Nevada, unless I have to turn right around and come back here, which is probably going to be the case.
And how is your hearing today? Still good?
Oh, it's good. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, you know, because of all the years I played music and even working ambulance, when you're rolling with your lights and siren on, you roll down your window so you can hopefully hear somebody else, you know, coming, that if you break a light or something or go through a red light, somebody might be coming the other direction. So you have those sirens blaring, and I believe they're at 130 decibels, I think. I'm not sure, but they're quite loud. So they, you know, that apparently I got some hearing loss from that as well. But I hear just fine, except for like sometimes on this phone with you. That's why I say all the time.
Yeah, that's fine.
But we have a little bit of a scratchy connection.
Yeah. Okay, well, Kelly, that was great talking to you.
Okay, thank you, and again, thank you for your interest in Randy.
No problem, and thank you for your time.
Okay, Jason.
And you keep on doing work with music.
All right.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.